What the heck am I even looking at right now? That was all I could get out, standing there like an idiot at Ryan's bachelor party. Bachelor party. Supposed to be a bunch of guys drinking beer, bad pizza, and maybe some sad-looking stripper jumping out of a cake for laughs. That's what we ordered. That's what the groom wanted. Instead, as the lights dimmed and the cake rolled out, the music hit, the guys started hooting, and I swear I felt the ground move when the top popped open, and it wasn't Candy or Crystal or whoever we paid for. It was Jean. My wife. My actual wife. Jean, who earlier that night kissed me goodbye, saying she had a girls' night planned with yoga and wine. Jean, who said money was tight so she had to work late this week. Jean, who somehow always came home smelling like vanilla and stress but never with details about her mysterious new gig. There she was. Wearing, well, not enough makeup caked on, fake smile plastered across her face, crawling out of that oversized cake like it was just another Tuesday. She didn't even flinch when she saw me. Just kept going with the routine. Like it was scripted. I wasn't sure if I was in shock, drunk, or stuck in some humiliating nightmare broadcast on a loop. My best friends were laughing. Some were confused. Ryan? Poor guy looked like he was about to faint thinking his future mother-in-law had arrived early. But not me. I locked eyes with her. Frozen. She blinked once. Then twice. Then it hit her too, hard. She hopped down, pulling at her flimsy excuse for clothes, eyes wide as she beelined toward me. Kilian, wait, I can explain, she said. Like this was some sitcom misunderstanding. Explain? Explain what exactly? My voice cracked in a way I didn't recognize. You climbing out of a cake at a bachelor party when you're supposed to be home binge-watching reality shows with your yoga buddies? She didn't even blink. Didn't even apologize. No, instead she went full accountant on me. Look, Kilian, you know we have bills. The mortgage, remember? We bought the house last year. It's expensive. I stood there, blinking, because honestly I thought I misheard her. So you're telling me, that stripping at parties, climbing out of a freaking cake, is how you've been affording your surprise contributions to the mortgage? She crossed her arms, her face hardening, suddenly defensive like I was the one who just ruined her big moment. Kilian, I didn't have a choice. This pays good money. Better than your woodworking and weekend handyman jobs. And right there, everything snapped into place. Every late night. Every mysterious cash deposit. Every time she brushed off my curiosity with, "Don't worry about it, babe. Trust me." This was the trust. Trust in a cake. Trust wearing high heels and throwing herself at drunken men for rent money. I laughed. Couldn't help it. Not a funny laugh. The kind of laugh you make when you realize the universe has officially decided to play with your sanity. So, what? You moonlight as a party favor now? That's your secret job? She didn't like that. Not at all. You're overreacting, Kilian. It's not like it means anything. Oh, Jean, it means something. It means everything. She tried to say something else but I didn't let her. I just turned around and walked out. If you are interested in the continuation, like this video and I would be grateful for your comments. New stories are published here every day. Listen to the story to the end, because what happened at the end will surprise you. I didn't sleep that night. Not a wink. I sat in the living room, lights off, just the soft hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen reminding me that life outside my head still existed. My hands hurt. Not because I hit anything, but from clenching so hard I thought my fingers might snap. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her. Not in our wedding dress, not on our honeymoon, not curled up next to me watching bad TV. No, I saw her crawling out of that cake, hair curled perfectly, face painted for attention, chest pushed out like it was on sale. Jean. My wife. Dancing for strangers. Dancing for Ryan and the boys. Dancing for whoever else had the cash to make the night special. I didn't cry. I didn't beg. But inside, something was pulling apart like an old rope finally snapping after years of tension. She walked in around 2 in the morning. Like nothing happened. Like she hadn't detonated our marriage in front of half the town. Her heels clicked softly against the tile, coat slung casually over her arm, and she froze when she saw me sitting there, bathed in the pale glow of the muted TV. "Oh. You're still up," she said, as if that was the problem. I stood slowly. No rush. I wanted her to see it, to feel it, the way the air thickened between us. "Yeah, Jean," I said, voice low but hard enough to cut steel, couldn't quite drift off after seeing my wife crawl half-naked out of a cake at my best friend's bachelor party. She sighed. Actually sighed, like I was the child throwing a tantrum because I didn't get the toy I wanted. That alone lit the fuse. "Look, Kilian," she began, dropping her purse onto the counter like she was home from a long shift at the office. "I can explain." I didn't let her finish. My hands shot up, slicing through the tension like knives. "Explain?" "Oh, this I have to hear. Explain how you, my wife, my so-called partner, somehow thought shaking yourself in front of drunk guys, wearing barely more than a napkin, was a rational, reasonable thing to do. Please, I'm all ears." She didn't even flinch. She just walked to the fridge, grabbed a water, twisted the cap off slowly, taking her time while my world was in flames. "It's just a job," she said finally, and that sentence hit me like a sledgehammer to the chest. "Just a job? Are you out of your mind?" I shouted now, loud enough that if the neighbors were awake they'd think we were filming some drama series right in the living room. "You were dancing for strangers, Jean. For men. In underwear. Do you get what that looks like? What that says about you, about us?" She raised her hand like she was swatting away flies. "You're overreacting. It's not like that. I'm not doing anything inappropriate. I just dance. That's all. It's good money, Kilian. We need it. You don't make enough on your own. Someone has to cover the difference." That broke something in me. Right then, right there. I stepped forward, close enough to smell the cheap perfume mixed with sweat and other people's cologne clinging to her skin. "So this is my fault now?" I barked, my voice raw and dangerous. "Because I build cabinets and fix houses instead of posing half-dressed for dollar bills, now you get to parade yourself like you're starring in some twisted cabaret and call it helping?" Her face tightened, jaw working like she wanted to fire back, but didn't. That hesitation, that brief flicker, told me everything. There was more. There was always more. And suddenly the distance between us wasn't measured in feet anymore. It was a canyon. She didn't love me. Not really. She loved what I provided. The roof. The steady paycheck. The boring loyalty she could step on while she chased excitement on the side. I ran my hand through my hair, pacing now like a caged animal. "Tell me something, Jean," I asked, voice lower, dangerous in a different way. "When you crawl out of those cakes, when you dance for them, when they get drunk and stupid and grabby, do you stop at dancing?" She gasped, eyes wide, like I had slapped her. "Kilian. How dare you, answer me?" I roared, the words bouncing off the walls, the couch, the empty space between us that used to be called marriage. She didn't answer. Not right away. And silence is an answer all on its own. I laughed bitterly, rubbing my face as I turned away from her. "That's what I thought." She scrambled then, words tumbling out desperate and fake. "No. I swear, I don't do that. It's just dancing. They don't touch me. It's nothing like that, Kilian. You have to trust me. Trust. That word tasted rotten in my mouth now. Trust was a promise. Trust was coming home to honesty. Trust was not crawling out of a groom's cake like a discount Vegas showgirl while your husband sits among the audience with no clue. I pointed at the door. You need to leave the room. Right now. Because if I have to look at you for one more second, Jean, I might say something we both regret. I still loved her. That was the stupid part. Love doesn't clock out when betrayal clocks in. It hangs around, stubborn and pathetic, asking for answers long after answers stopped showing up. So I buried myself in work. 6 days a week wasn't enough. I added Sundays. I said yes to every client, every miserable task, every cheap house flip and creaky old porch that needed fixing. I didn't care. The more hours I could fill with hammer swings and sawdust, the less time I had to imagine what else Jean was doing when I wasn't looking. The loan sat on my back like a bag of wet cement. Every month it whispered, "She did this for us. You weren't pulling enough weight." That voice wasn't hers. It was mine. And that's what cut the deepest. But I was too proud to crumble. So I got up early, worked until my arms went numb, came home late, ate standing up, and collapsed onto the couch while Jean played house like nothing happened. She cooked now. She smiled more. She even tried to sit next to me again, brushing her hand against my leg like she forgot that touch used to mean something. I didn't react. I couldn't. Not anymore. I was living in survival mode. Love was still somewhere inside me, sure, but doubt had built a steel cage around it, locking it tight. Then came the job. Middle of summer, hot enough to bake bricks on the driveway, and I was patching up drywall at a guy's house on the edge of town. Rich guy. The kind who wore golf polos even when he wasn't golfing, talked to me like I was his landscaper, and treated his house like a trophy case he couldn't wait to show off. I didn't care. Money was money, and I needed every dollar to get out from under the loan faster, so Jean's excuses stopped making sense even to herself. I worked quietly, headphones in but low enough to catch conversation. His buddy had come over. 2 of them, standing in the open kitchen, laughing over beers while I sanded the wall nearby. I wasn't trying to listen. At first. Until I heard it. "Man, that party last Friday," the friend said, his voice still drunk with memory. "That stripper though. Wow. Dude, I swear, she wasn't like the usual trash they hire. This one? She was hot. Professional but, you know. Knew how to work the room. Tight little number, killer legs, blonde, classy but naughty vibe. Not cheap either. Worth every penny." I stopped sanding mid-stroke, my hand frozen against the wall. My jaw tightened so hard my teeth hurt. The client laughed, louder than necessary. "Oh, yeah. That wasn't just some random chick, trust me. She's local. Heard she works select gigs only. Exclusive." I stayed quiet, kept sanding, but inside? Inside I felt the walls start to crack. Blonde. Local. Not cheap. Select gigs. Every word felt like a hammer striking my ribs. My stomach twisted. Jean. It couldn't be. Could it? She told me she only did dancing. She said nothing inappropriate, nothing dirty. Just innocent routines and quick cash. That's what she swore. But this wasn't some club on the outskirts of town. This was a private party. This was behind closed doors. And the way they talked? It wasn't about dancing. It was about entertaining. About making lonely men forget their lives for a night. I tried to shake it off, but it didn't leave. I came home that night hollowed out. Not angry. Not even sad anymore. No, something colder had settled in my bones. Disgust mixed with clarity. A man can only take so many lies before words stop mattering. Jean greeted me like always, pretending the world was still spinning the way she wanted it. She asked how work was, told me dinner was ready, even smiled when I brushed past her without a word. I didn't yell. I didn't question. I didn't accuse. I just stared at her, quietly, knowing deep down the woman making pasta across from me wasn't my wife anymore. She was a stranger wearing her skin. That night, while she scrolled her phone pretending to be engaged in some celebrity gossip nonsense, I sat on the porch pretending to enjoy the breeze. In reality, my mind was already 5 steps ahead. I wasn't going to ask her anything. Why? She'd lie. She'd smooth it over with practiced calm and accuse me of paranoia. I didn't need words. I needed proof. Real proof. Cold, undeniable, with no wiggle room for her manipulative rewrites. So I made a call. My buddy Darren owed me. Years back I helped him rebuild his deck when his hand was busted up, so when I asked him for something personal, he didn't hesitate. He answered on the second ring. Hey, man, weird question. Remember that bachelor party? The one with the cake and the entertainment? He laughed awkwardly, probably thinking I wanted to joke. Yeah, why? I didn't smile. I didn't joke back. My voice dropped into that dead serious tone every man recognizes. Who booked her? I need the number. He hesitated, probably putting 2 and 2 together, but finally caved. Hang on, let me check. It's still in my texts. A minute later, my phone dinged. I stared at the screen. My throat tightened. My chest felt like someone had strapped bricks to it. Because there it was. Jean's number. Her regular, everyday, no secrets, wife in the kitchen number. No burner. No work line. No attempt at hiding. The same number she used to text me, to call her mom, to order groceries, now conveniently listed in Darren's phone as, Cake Girl, Jean. I sat there, phone burning a hole in my palm, breathing slow and measured so I wouldn't smash it against the railing. She hadn't even bothered to cover her tracks. That told me everything I needed to know about how little she respected me at this point. Jean figured I'd never dig. That I'd never stop trusting. She underestimated me. That was her mistake. The next day at work, while cutting oak boards and pretending I cared about client deadlines, I made another move. Mark, the new guy, was eager. Young, fresh to the crew, and crucially, Jean didn't know him. He started 2 weeks ago, and his face hadn't yet been glued to any of Jean's mental snapshots. At lunch, while the guys griped about football and overtime, I pulled Mark aside. Hey, I need a favor, I said quietly, serious enough to make him blink. Not illegal. Nothing weird. Just a test. He nodded, curiosity taking over. He was one of those loyal types. Still green enough to want to impress the boss. Sure. What's up? I handed him Jean's number, printed cleanly on a slip of paper I tore from my invoice pad. I want you to send a text later, after work. Use a fake name, something casual. Act like you're looking to book entertainment. Private, bachelor party, nothing creepy. Just enough to see if she bites. Mark raised an eyebrow. You want me to catfish your wife? I didn't even flinch. Call it what you want. Just keep it simple and respectful. I'm not out to humiliate anyone. I just want to know who she really is when she thinks no one is watching. He agreed. Probably thought it was the weirdest task he'd ever gotten at a construction job, but he agreed. That night, I sat at home like nothing was different. Jean made spaghetti. Jean talked about a sale on patio furniture. Jean kissed my cheek like routine demanded it. She had no idea the text was already out there, floating in her inbox. I checked my phone quietly after midnight. Mark had forwarded me her response. It didn't take long. She replied fast. Too fast. Not shocked. Not confused. She asked for details. Prices. She asked what the theme was. And then, the dagger right between my ribs, she offered a discount for repeat clients. I stared at those words, fingers trembling, mouth dry. Discount. Repeat clients. My wife. Not just a dancer. Not just a cake stunt. A full-service option. A brand. The next morning, with my hands steady and my mind ice cold, I made the calls. First to Mark. He picked up half awake but quickly understood once I explained. He wasn't hesitant. If anything, he sounded eager. So, like a sting operation, he asked, voice dropping into that tone men use when they're about to do something that can't be undone. Exactly, I said. No threats. No aggression. Just offer. Let her choose the path. He agreed. Said he'd get a few friends, ones Jean had never met, guys who could play the role without overdoing it. I trusted Mark. He wasn't the type to mess around with something this serious. Next, I spent a big chunk of my savings. Not the rainy day fund. The deeper stuff. The emergency money meant for busted transmissions or surgeries that never came. This felt bigger than that. This was about clarity. I rented a small cottage 20 minutes out of town. Private, detached from neighbors, the kind of place people rented for quiet weekends or loud mistakes. I spent the afternoon wiring it up. Cameras in every corner. Nothing crazy, just enough to see everything without feeling intrusive. I wasn't recording this to sell or humiliate. This was for evidence. For truth. For when Jean inevitably stood in front of a judge later with crocodile tears and tried to paint me as the cold husband who drove her away. That night, I sat in my truck parked down the gravel path from the house, phone plugged in, eyes locked on the live feeds from my laptop. Mark had done his part. 4 guys. Not rowdy, just drinking and laughing like any typical night out. They played cards. They ordered pizza. They waited. Right on schedule, Jean showed up. Not shy. Not hesitant. She walked through that door like she was clocking in for a shift. Tight dress, fake smile, eyes scanning the room like she already knew exactly how the night would play out. She laughed, flirted, moved to music like she belonged there. Like this wasn't strange at all. Like it was Tuesday. I didn't flinch watching her. I thought I would. Thought maybe the sight of her, my wife, working the room like an actress in a cheap commercial, might get me again. But no. All I felt was confirmation. This was her. This was real. She danced for them. Slow, deliberate, calculated. She touched their shoulders. She sat on laps. I watched, each second sharpening the blade in my gut. Then came the signal. Mark texted. Now? I typed back. Now. Mark played his role perfectly. He waited for a break, when the music softened and the others were distracted. Then he leaned in, quiet but direct. You do private time? Extra? Just us? Jean didn't hesitate. Not even a flicker of resistance. She smiled, leaned closer, and asked, how private and how much are we talking? Mark played it cool. Gave her a number. Higher than expected. She didn't blink. She nodded, stood, and told the other guys to take 5. It happened fast after that. Too fast. Jean led Mark toward the back room. She shut the door behind them. The cameras caught it all. Her expression, her tone, her easy transition from playful entertainer to something far worse. That was my breaking point. No more observing. No more questions. I threw the truck into park, slammed the door shut so hard the entire night seemed to freeze. I stormed up the path, pushed open the door to the cottage without knocking, and ignored the shocked faces of the guys scattered on couches with drinks still half raised. Mark didn't need a signal. He backed up fast. Jean spun when I entered the room. Her eyes wide, mouth parting in horror as she realized the music had stopped, and her husband, the man she thought she had fooled long enough, was now standing 5 feet away watching her sell herself like it was normal. She started to speak. "Kilian, wait," I cut her off with the coldest words I've ever spoken. "No. We're done talking. This is who you are." She stammered, tried to pull the robe closed around herself like modesty mattered now. I didn't care. I didn't even shout. I simply pointed toward the cameras. "Smile. You've already been recorded agreeing to everything. No more lies." I called my lawyer before I even reached my driveway. "File it. Today. Write in the comments, what would you do in this situation?"